You ever think the toughest thing on a ranch is the old tractor that never dies? Yeah, that's what I used to believe too, at least until the war over my grandpa's mailbox turned half our county into a punchline. Not kidding. The day I learned just how much trouble a box on a post could cause, I realized there's stubborn, and then there's steel in the ground stubborn. That mailbox took more abuse than any machine on the place, and in the end it outlasted every single person who tried to break it. You could hear the steel crunching all the way from the porch the day they got serious. The so-called HOA patrol, their shiny white SUV big grins, as they plowed right over the mailbox Grandpa had just set in concrete. The passenger laughed, arm hanging out the window like they'd just invented comedy. Grandpa didn't laugh, though. He just watched, arms folded, doing this slow head shake like he was running numbers nobody else could see. That's the moment things really started, even if nobody realized it. That was the spark. The first mailbox I remember looked just like every other one you'd see down a dusty county road. Standard black little red flag, fresh concrete base, nothing fancy. Grandpa was proud of it. 2 weeks later, it was a pile of scrap tire tracks pointing straight back toward the HOA subdivision. And these patrol cops, they weren't even real law. Just a bunch of bored middle-aged dads' badges printed at the office supply, reflective vests, decals stuck on their SUVs. To them, enforcement meant joyriding and bossing around teenagers. For Grandpa, it meant some folks didn't know when to mind their own business. He tried again, stronger this time. Dug the post twice as deep, wrapped it in duct tape, said it'd take a tornado to budge it. Wrong. They ran it down on purpose. I watched from the upstairs window as they backed over it twice, just to be sure. My hands clenched the sill so hard I thought I'd break it. I wanted to run out, start swinging, but Grandpa stopped me with a gentle hand and a voice that could cut steel. Not yet. Let 'em think they're clever. For now. By the time they'd smashed a third one, this one so flat, the flag was just a sad little tombstone in the dirt. It was clear this wasn't about a box. It was about showing who owned what, who'd give in first. Maybe they hated that his land didn't fall under their HOA. Maybe they just liked kicking the little guy. They underestimated him, though. That was their mistake. Grandpa never called the sheriff. He'd fought in Korea, fixed fences no storm could break, chased coyotes out of the henhouse with nothing but a broom. He didn't whine, didn't give an inch. Those mailbox smashers thought they were crushing metal, they were stomping on his pride. And if there's one thing an old rancher won't let slide, it's that. One night, under the humming kitchen light over 2 mugs of coffee, Grandpa spread out a piece of paper, sketched out a plan. If they want to keep running it down, he said, let's give them something worth hitting. He didn't say much else. Just that smirk that meant he already knew how this chess match ended. The next week we ran errands, which meant a stop at the scrapyard. Grandpa dug through piles until he found the right beam, and back at the ranch he welded for hours, sparks flying like 4th of July under the barn's tin roof. My job was to hold the light measure bolts, write down whatever numbers he called out. He winked at me when I asked about the extra steel plates insurance. The finished box waited under a tarp in the barn. We kept quiet, let them make the next move. Night after night, the patrol cruised by, engines roaring, flashlights bouncing across our fields, calling out jokes. Grandpa just tipped his hat, acting like nothing at all was happening. But under the tarp, a trap was waiting. One morning there it stood, a mailbox, not flashy but proud wood on the outside, but I knew what hid beneath. Solid steel. Bolted down so hard the dirt vibrated if you tapped it. It looked ordinary to anyone else, but it wasn't. The first time they hit it, I was right there sitting on the porch beside Grandpa Hart, hammering. That SUV lined up, stomped the gas, and bang. Instead of the old crunch, there was this unholy screech. An airbag went off and the SUV just died, smoke pouring out the hood. Silence for a second, then yelling, cursing, one guy holding his chest, the other staring at his mangled bumper. The mailbox, not even a scratch. I laughed so hard my sides hurt. Grandpa didn't laugh, just a twitch at the corner of his mouth, pipe smoke curling up as he whispered, "Told you." Patience. He knew that was just round one. By the next morning, the whole county knew. I biked to town and heard it before I even sat down for a milkshake. You hear about the HOA boys got wrecked by a mailbox? Even the sheriff was muttering about property owners pushing limits. That's when I realized this wasn't just a spat anymore. This was a battle, us against every small-town authority with a grudge. Sure enough, that night they came back. 2 SUVs, not one. Parked in the road boots, crunching up the drive. Their leader, big guy, loud voice, stared at the mailbox, then Grandpa. "Sir, you're creating a safety hazard. Your mailbox caused a serious accident last night. Our driver could have been killed. Grandpa didn't even blink. Then maybe your driver ought to keep his wheels on the road. Just like that. No drama. The man went red jaw twitching while the younger one tried to flex. We've got authority from the homeowners association. That made me snort. Grandpa raised an eyebrow, then asked, which homeowners? Because last I checked, this land's been in my name for 60 years. Your association stops 5 miles east at the cul-de-sac. They threatened formal action, but Grandpa just leaned forward, elbows on his knees, voice steady. You boys do whatever you think you need to. Mailbox isn't going anywhere. That silence was heavier than any threat. A week later, it was paperwork. Letter from the HOA. Your mailbox is a violation. Remove immediately. $50 per day until you comply. Grandpa just read it once, folded it, slid it under his coffee mug. Will respond in kind. He typed a letter. This property is outside your jurisdiction. Further harassment will be considered trespassing. That's it. 3 days later, the sheriff pulled in. He'd never parked here before. Tipped his hat, laid out the complaints, told Grandpa to take the mailbox down. Grandpa answered, It's on my land, built to spec. If they want to keep wrecking their trucks, maybe they should learn to steer. The sheriff tried to be reasonable, but Grandpa just puffed his pipe. Too late. So the HOA got creative. One afternoon, a convoy rolled in 3 SUVs, men with chains and tow straps. They hooked up to the post, gunned the engines, and cracked the chains, snapped bumpers, bent radiators, hissing. Grandpa just watched, arms folded, saying nothing. One guy tried to swing a chain at him, but Grandpa caught it, held it steady, then let it drop. They left beaten, not by force, but by stubbornness. That's when it got ugly. A few mornings later, our gate was cut open, barn trash, tools thrown, feed sacks sliced, nothing stolen, just vandalized. Grandpa said, now it's official. They've declared war. He didn't call the sheriff, just started cleaning up, steady as always. You don't fight fire by begging the wind to stop blowing. You fight it by building stone walls. Next time it was 5 SUVs, chains, heavy winches. The mailbox didn't move. The scene turned to chaos, shouting, broken chains, engines smoking. One tried to step up on the porch. Grandpa's warning cut the air. Careful, boys. Trespassing and assault are still crimes in this county. That got through. They backed off, spat threats about fines and lawsuits, but left. The next morning, a pile of legal letters, fines, violations, cease and desist, all of it. Grandpa shrugged. Letters don't scare me. If they had a real case, the county would be here, not their secretaries. But they weren't done. Strange cars parked at the end of our drive. Anonymous calls at night, a rock through the barn window, each act a dare. He patched the window, mended fences, just kept going. I saw him slow down, rub his temples longer at night, but he wouldn't show weakness. Still, I worried. Then it went quiet. No more patrols, no calls, no new letters. Grandpa said, that's how you know they're desperate. Noise is easy. Silence takes planning. Word at the diner was the HOA president filed a petition, wanted the county to rule our mailbox unsafe. Bureaucracy, the sharpest tool they had. Grandpa was ready. Pulled out paperwork, showed me every spec, every receipt the mailbox built, not just of steel, but proof. The inspectors came, measured every inch, checked every angle, the HOA watching from their SUVs. Unusual but compliant, they said. That should have ended it. But pride cuts deep. 2 nights later, flames rose. Someone tried to burn the barn. We fought it back with buckets and a hose side by side in the dark, coughing through smoke. The barn survived, mailbox untouched. Gas can tossed in the ditch, tire tracks back to the subdivision. Grandpa just knelt by the can, face like stone. They crossed the line tonight. Property's one thing, fire's another. You play with fire, you answer to it. Next morning, he was reinforcing the barn, fireproofing every inch, the ranch turning fortress. I helped, and every bolt I tightened felt like driving a stake in the ground. This was our land. That week, a court summons came, claims of hazard obstruction, every trick in the book. The HOA wanted Grandpa on trial. He said, good, court's a stage, time to let the truth show. At the courthouse, their lawyer spun stories about danger and chaos, tried to paint Grandpa as the villain. Grandpa stood up steady, laid out every fact, harassment, vandalism, photos, measurements. Didn't need to shout. The truth was enough. Even the judge looked tired of the circus. That should have been it, but one last night, every SUV for miles showed up, engines roaring, spotlights, blazing, chains rattling. The whole circus. You've had your fun, old man. The leader barked. Tonight it ends. Grandpa just puffed his pipe. Funny you keep saying that, yet here you are again. They tried everything but the mailbox stood. Chains snapped, bumpers bent, a tire blew still, it stood. Sirens finally wailed, real ones not fake, patrol. Whoops. Sheriff's deputies arrived, citations handed out, even cuffs on two. The HOA men scattered, humiliated. I thought that was it. I was wrong. Pride doesn't die easy. Later, long after midnight, the leader crept back in a quiet SUV, gas can in hand, ready to burn the mailbox to the ground. Grandpa was waiting, calm as ever. Son, that flame doesn't burn what you think it does. It burns you. For a long moment, the man just stared, desperate. Then he tossed the match, stomped it out, and drove off. It was over. After that, the road went quiet. No more letters, no more convoys. Neighbors who'd kept their heads down now stopped to say thanks. The mailbox became a legend, the unbreakable post. Grandpa never told the story himself. Truth doesn't need an audience. It just needs to last. And it did. Every time I look at that mailbox, now dented, scratched, still standing, I remember every fight, every laugh, every moment I thought we'd lose. But we didn't. And the lesson's simple if you're willing to hear it. Build something strong enough inside and out, and it'll outlast every storm they throw your way. Now let me ask you this, if someone came for what you'd built, would you hold your ground or would you fold when the pressure started? Ever seen small-town pride clash with big money power and win? Tell me where you stand. Ever had to fight for something nobody else thought mattered? Drop your story. I'm all ears.